You are listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, hosted by Heather Dyer and Erin Walker. To find our complete catalog of episodes, check out any of your favorite podcast players.
Or our website, threekitchenspodcast.com. Well, welcome to Three Kitchens Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Heather, and here's my friend Erin.
Hello.
Hello.
That is me.
I realize sometimes when I play them back that I don't always introduce, like say, welcome to, this is the name of the podcast and this is who we are. Sometimes I just get talking and forget to do that part. So
I think we both get a little bit excited sometimes, and it's like, oh, press the button so we can keep talking and get this stuff in there.
it's like, is anyone listening?
Yeah.
Please. No, I know they listen. I see the numbers. Have we mentioned on the podcast at any point that fun little bump in international listeners we had recently?
No.
That was just like so nice.
Very
And
interesting, hey?
yeah, and I think it came about from TikTok because there's this trend. If you're on TikTok, you might be aware of this trend to hashtag things, Commonwealth TikTok, World TikTok, Global TikTok. I've even seen metric TikTok. It's like, because it's
Oh,
very
that's
much
nerdy. I like it.
it's very much dominated by American content, which is totally fine. But other people are like, hey, what about me over here in Greenland or whatever, doing some fun stuff. So somehow it got. I just said, hey, can we pass this around? I want to see if we can get our podcast in front of some other people. And then the next week, in our stats, we had this really awesome long list of countries that popped up, and
Yeah.
it
It was
was
all
just
these
really
different
fun.
new places all over the world because we are in Canada. Most of our stuff is North American, and there's like a few little splatters in Europe and maybe Australia. But yeah, we got some stuff all over the place. That was really fun to see.
Yes, so if you're one of those people around the world tuning in or watching us on YouTube, I know it still makes us feel a little out of our element, but thank you. Thanks for
Yes.
joining us. And speaking of YouTube, I looked at those stats too recently, and there was a lot of folks in India tuning in over there. So, hello,
Oh.
India. Making me want to cook something Indian,
Okay.
but not today.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have led with that.
Sorry,
No,
not sorry. My segue was terrible.
yeah, that wasn't a segue. It was just a comment.
Okay,
So Easter's coming. We just took a left turn to
you
Easter
bet.
Town. Okay.
Ooh,
Uh,
Easter Town.
Easter Town. I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure where that might be.
Um, so a well-known, at least in, I would think, North America and the UK, well-known little Easter treat is the Cadbury Creme Egg,
Yeah.
which I realized when I was doing a little research. It's not cream, it's creme. It's not CREAM, the way we say cream. It's CREME, which is creme. And every time I watched a video of someone talking about the creme egg, they were calling it a creme egg. And I was like, my entire life, I've been calling it a cream egg.
I've always called it a cream egg as well.
We're just these
I,
ignorant Canadians who can't read.
so it's funny, Easter candy really is like an annual event for me because when I was in university and those cream eggs would come out, I had a girlfriend and we would like get each other cream eggs for our study sessions
Mm.
for finals around Easter time. And it was like, because I think nobody else liked them, just us.
What?
So we had these cream eggs. It would always be like the little treat we'd have for each other when we were studying because it was so
I
exciting when
I
they
love
finally
them.
come in.
When I was pregnant with my first child,
Ooh.
that Easter time, because he was born in July, and that Easter time,
Oh.
I had a real troublemaker of a coworker who used to buy them, the little 3-pack
Oh yeah.
eggs. and he'd leave them on my desk like every day because he knew that I was like addicted and I couldn't stop eating them. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, how many pounds do I need to gain with this baby? And then we laughed that he is however what
Aw.
percentage cream egg is that kid
Aw. What I was
because he was fed exclusively on that.
gonna say, what were you growing at that time when his
Yeah,
arms
which
were
part of him?
80% cream egg?
But anyway, we're just going to continue calling them cream egg because I don't think I can get my
I'm
head around creme
I
egg.
feel like even though it is not spelt like cream, it has always been called a Cadbury Creme Egg.
I can't
I've ne
remember like commercials and things. I'm sure they just said cream egg
Yeah.
in Canada, anyways. We're going to go with that anyhow.
It's not like we pronounce anything correctly, so we're just going to stick with what we like because that's what we've been used to. No change happening here.
Sorry. All
Ooh,
right.
but can we discuss
So,
the wonderfulness of changing the packaging from that tin foil that would always like leak and be sticky, and it would
stick.
be like you'd pick
Yes.
one up in the bin of them and like four would hang
Yes,
off.
it was
It was
so hard to get
gross.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they come in these great little plastic packages that just peel open, and then you have this pristine cream egg.
Yes, and the best is when they're like, I don't know if it's like more fresh or something, but it's actually smooth and like gooey
Mm,
in the middle. And then every so often you bite into one and it's sort of like crystallizing and it's like
yeah.
drying a bit inside. And it's like, no,
It makes me wonder if, like, at the end of Easter, when they don't sell all of them, do they just like wheel the bin of cream eggs and like put it into the back? And they're like, well, we'll bring this out next year.
probably. I mean, why would you
Probably.
throw them away?
They wouldn't be thrown away because their shelf life is at least half a century, and
At least.
at least. And it's not like you'd send it back to the cream egg factory. Okay,
No.
cream
Okay.
eggs. Good
So,
things they are.
yum yum. Okay, so just a quick little history. It began as the Fry's Cream Egg in 1963 and then was renamed Cadbury because I guess Fry's was like a subsidiary or something of Cadbury. And so Cadbury just renamed it the Cadbury Cream Egg in 1971.
Was this in Britain? Because
I
I feel like
believe
Cadbury's a
Cadbury's, I
British
thought it
chocolate.
was. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
And I saw a stat somewhere, I don't know how current it is, but it said 500 million sold every year, which is a lot.
And
That's a lot
600
of,
million the year that Heather was pregnant.
yeah. In 2011, spiked the sale, and we don't,
Whoa.
well, we do know why. Because that guy who worked down the hall from me was a bad influence. Okay. Um, Now we know it's like a milk chocolate egg, a hollow egg, and the inside, I had to look up what is that sugary goodness on the inside that looks like the egg white with the yolk in the middle, and
Hmm.
it is fondant. Even the
Oh,
one we buy in the store is a type of fondant, which is made of sugar, water, and corn syrup, essentially. There can be some differences. I'm sure there are some
okay.
different chemicals and things they do for these half century
Yes, that increase that
non-perishable.
that shelf life component
Yeah.
and all the mystery
Yes.
things that you might be eating. Okay.
Okay.
So
So
is
you may be
fondant
thinking,
not
oh,
always necessarily like a, I always associate it with like the stuff you roll out and cover cakes with?
apparently it's also
Thin
soft.
and runny and soft.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'm not going to make a cream egg. What I want to make is
Oh,
a cupcake, a chocolate cupcake with the nice gooey, eggy, sugary center. So I've been looking around. I've not found a an exact recipe,
okay.
But fondant does seem to be the thing that
Okay.
people are using. So there, I mean, there are recipes for cream eggs where you make the middle part out
Okay.
of fondant and you shape it like an egg and then you dip it in chocolate.
Okay.
And um, I guess it just kind of depends on how you're going to serve them. I saw something that now I've forgotten the name of that is a chemical that sometimes is used. It it causes the sugar to separate the fructose and the glucose so that it doesn't hold together as well, which makes it creamy, like runny.
Hmm.
And it's something that like a, you know, like someone a candy maker would use. That seems a little advanced for
Candy
me.
making is one of those things that is a little bit, it feels not home cook friendly.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Well, you always have to have such very specific temperatures and boiling points for things.
There's lots of special tools, I
Things can go
feel.
wrong.
Things go wrong.
Yeah. And I just, even if it is something that's common, I don't want to go down that path for this particular. Oh, the other thing with that, whatever it was called, I feel like an idiot for not writing it down, but I can find it for part two if that's interesting to you. The thing is, though, it takes like a few days for it to be fully effective. So you
Okay.
make your little chocolate eggs and then they sit. This is not
Okay.
feasible really for a cupcake. I don't want to make a cupcake and then
No.
have it sit for 5 days before you can eat it because the middle needs to do its chemical
I
process.
can
By
barely let
then,
the muffins cool down before the family's like, can we eat them now?
this our cake would be like dried out and it just wouldn't be very good. It'd be like, oh, nice gooey center in this dried out old muffin. Like, no, we don't want that.
No disappointment here.
No. So I will figure out how to do the center. My thinking is I bake the cupcakes and then I scoop out kind of a
Hmm.
indent in the top and then I put in whatever type of
Okay.
fondant. Now there is such a thing, and I think you have done it before, which is a marshmallow
Mm.
fondant. So you make it with marshmallows, icing sugar. Is that how you made yours?
Ooh.
Or did you do the sugar, water, corn syrup?
I could not recall off the top
Okay.
of my head. And I made it for something that I don't think I shared the recipe with.
No, I just remember you
So,
talking about it. And I think it was to roll it out and put it over a cake, which
yeah,
is what we typically think of with fondant.
yeah. It might have used that marshmallow cream that you get in a container,
Oh.
or you melted marshmallows in a pot.
So this is what I
A
keep
or B.
seeing is you melt
Okay.
marshmallows, then you mix in icing sugar and you basically knead it
Hmm.
until it's whatever type of texture you want it to be. And you can add water to thin it
Okay.
or icing sugar to thicken it. So I'm thinking this is going to be my approach is to mess around with the marshmallow fondant and hopefully enough water to thin it enough to make it, it just needs to be kind of gooey. I don't need it to run out when you open the cupcake, but I also don't want it to be a solid lump,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Because you kind of want it to like mush with the cupcake when you take a bite into it, not be like a separate
Yeah.
bite.
Or at least be like if you eat it with a fork, if you kind of put your
Mm,
fork through it, that it's, yeah, that it's soft, that you eat it
yeah.
with the cake like you would buttercream or something.
Yeah. I think that makes the most sense to do it with a hollowed out cupcake because I have a feeling it wouldn't hold itself baked.
No, I don't think it's the kind of thing you bake.
Yeah, I don't think you could. So that sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I will do something on the top of the cupcake or if it will just be the cupcake with Like if you look at the top of it, it looks like an egg white. I'm a little nervous about how I get it to look like a white with a yolk, like nice and round yolk. Like I'm not sure.
I think you got it.
Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence. I'm not sure where it comes from.
I like where your mind is thinking. I like your ideas and where they're going. So I can't wait for it all to come together.
Yeah, I just want to play around with it and see
Why not?
for a cute little Easter themed treat. Yeah.
No. It'll be
Um,
interesting to see how the texture works out on it. But
mhm.
I think you can do it. I mean, think about making Rice Krispie squares. It's like melting those marshmallows, but instead of adding butter in there, you're adding more sugar and just
The thing though that gets me is that when you do that, it kind of firms up. I'm just a little concerned about it being too firm and not staying kind of
I think
gooey.
that's where you have to add your water in and you'll really have to finesse that.
Experiment. You know, I'm not the most finesser. I don't have a lot of finesse. I'm just sort of like throwing
Eh,
shit
I
around.
think that winging it will come about just fine.
Uh, well, I hope so. Stay tuned and we'll see how it goes.
Perfect. We'll see you in Easter Town.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I have papers. I have papers, which is not always the
Heather's
case.
brain has just collapsed on the table in front of her.
Yeah. Well, this little fun experiment really is less of a structured recipe and more of a messing around creative playtime
All
in the
right.
kitchen.
Well, if you've got your kids off and you're looking for something to do, why not mess around and do creative playtime in the kitchen? I'm all
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, for sure.
Experiment o'clock starts now.
Experimental clock. Okay, we're gonna start with chocolate cupcakes. This is the
Okay.
easiest part. Most, well, I shouldn't say most. Many of us have a favorite chocolate cake recipe that can become cupcakes.
Hmm.
And if you don't, you could use a boxed mix.
Yep.
We've all done it. And there are some good little hacks for zhuzhing up a boxed cake mix,
Okay.
which I thought might be fun to talk about a few of those things. Is there anything
Okay.
do you ever use a cake mix personally?
I mean, you know how, I mean, why would I use a boxed cake mix? I don't make cakes.
Uh, I guess.
Although I have used box cake mix camping before and made pancakes with it on a grill, which is kind of a fun way to do um, you know,
Yeah.
a treat when you're out camping. So that's kind of fun to do. And then you can
Mhm.
make a little stack of pancakes. And it's like, one of those many layered little cakes. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I like doing that too.
And it's easy to do with a box cake mix because you don't need as many ingredients. But in terms
Yeah.
of baking a cake, I mean, you know how I feel about baking cakes. And well, you'll hear more about how I feel baking cakes next week as a small teaser. So
It's cake time on Three
share with me
Kitchens.
your boxed cake.
Okay, well, I don't use boxed cakes too often, like you, but in this particular recipe that I just made from scratch, I did a sub that also works great with a boxed mix, which is what made me think of
Hmm.
it. So,
Mm-hmm.
this cake recipe, this is it. See how there's no instructions? Anybody watching the video will see it's just a list of scrawled ingredients and 350 degrees in up there in the corner, and that's it. It is called a one bowl chocolate cake. It was passed to me. It was, I believe, a friend of a friend's mom's cake, and they would make it. And my husband ate it enough times at some friend's house that he really liked
Ah,
it. So he said, "Can you give us the recipe?" And when he says us, he really means me. And
what?
anyway, I've had this for
Your husband's
years.
not baking this up?
He could. This is very simple. It's called a
Okay,
one bowl chocolate cake because everything just goes in one bowl. You mix it all up. You pour your
awesome.
batter into your pans. There's nothing fussy about it. But after you've mixed your dry and wet ingredients together in your one bowl,
Mm-hmm.
there's a cup of hot water goes into this,
Okay.
which is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Um, and it makes a very runny cake batter,
Okay.
but it's a very good chocolate cake. What I like to do with that 1 cup of hot water, like boiled from the kettle, let it just sit there until you're ready for it. So it's very hot.
Mm-hmm.
I like to put instant coffee grounds into that cup. I don't even really measure it out. I just like, a couple teaspoons or something,
Yeah, yeah.
so that you have essentially a brewed, as I put in quotation marks because it's instant, brewed
Mm-hmm.
coffee in place of the water. And I think that coffee really brings out the flavor of chocolate.
Chocolate and
Um,
coffee were meant to be married together.
yes. And even if you don't taste the coffee, it does something to chocolate to make it taste extra good.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
could do that also with a boxed cake mix. If it calls for water,
Okay.
replace it with coffee or other liquid. You can replace it with buttermilk. You could replace it with
Hmm.
apple cider. You could like to, and I'm not necessarily talking chocolate cakes, but say a
Yeah.
white, what is a white cake? I don't even know what flavor that is supposed to
I
be,
think
but you
there's
can,
yellow and white.
yeah, I don't know what those
They're
flavors are supposed to
colors.
be. So you could zhuzh
Ooh.
them up
I bet you
with,
could put like juice in there instead and make it like fruity flavored or
yeah, like what if you put orange juice and then you did
yeah.
like an orange citrusy icing on top, and now you've like zhuzhed up your cake mix. Okay.
Yum.
Um,
Question,
yes.
because sorry, my computer's making. Could I just use brewed coffee because I don't actually have instant coffee in my house?
Why
Okay.
not?
Okay, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that that was legal. I don't know the ins.
Legal. You can do whatever
I don't
you
want to get in
want.
trouble. But yeah, now that we're saying we could use anything, okay, brewed coffee would be totally good. Do you need it? Does it have to be hot? Like if I'm putting
Apparently.
juice in there, do I need to put my juice in
This is a
hot?
chocolate. This is a chocolate cake. You wouldn't probably do
Oh,
juice,
okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, maybe.
But if you're doing a box mix, no.
Okay.
I would,
Okay.
I don't have one in front of me to look at what the instructions are, but if it says water, I'm
Okay.
guessing it's not hot. Listen,
Okay.
I don't know.
Nope, I think that's unless it specifies the temperature of the liquid, go with just liquid. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could also replace the fat. So I think lots of boxed cakes call for vegetable oil.
Mm-hmm.
You could make it taste better, in my opinion, if you did butter
Oh,
instead.
of course.
It would taste much richer, I would think, or coconut milk instead
Mm-hmm.
of oil. Or what else could you do? I wrote some things down. You could do like sour cream or full fat yogurt instead of oil,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
replace part of it. Maybe do half the oil and half something else to give it a different.
Totally. Can you do applesauce also substitutes as oil?
Yeah, I
Yes.
made a note
If I think right. Okay.
separately. I don't know if you replace the oil with it, but you could do mashed bananas, applesauce,
Yeah. Hmm.
pureed, pureed. Hey, what was that cake that we've made where you use a whole orange? Remember it? Was it an orange or was it the little, what are those little
Was it the
orange guys?
kumquat cake?
Kumquats?
Yeah.
Do you put the entire thing and you blend it up? Am I
Uh-huh.
remembering this right? Yeah.
You are. Yes, because the peel of the kumquat is sweet and the flesh is like sour bitter. It's
Mm,
like the opposite orange is the way I like to think about it. Like you turned an orange inside out in terms of its flavors.
yeah. And you just use the entire thing, you blend it up, I think. Oh, we
Yep.
need to link to that because that's such a good cake.
Yes. And
Mm.
I have been trying so hard to get a kumquat seed to sprout in my house, and it has
Aw.
not happened. And then I read an article in local news saying this woman has grown a kumquat tree in her house and has these beautiful kumquats ripening in her front window.
Okay, Karen.
All right, I want to know about it.
Oh, that's good.
I have indoor citrus tree envy.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking you could mix this up, either the fat or the liquid or both. Mix it with some other options. Yes.
Avocados. You can also use avocados.
Yes, because
Ding
they're
dong.
creamy and you can blend them up.
They're a
So good.
great fat to put in there. And I've made cupcakes with them before like that. So
Mm.
good. I've made icing with avocados
Oh yeah.
before. Okay, sorry. We're
Nope.
getting way off track here.
Nope, we're still on topic.
Okay.
Okay, and I was thinking about sort of, I don't know if it's white or yellow or whatever kind of cake that just has vanilla
Hmm,
extract.
okay.
What if you replace the vanilla with like some other extract, like lemon or almond?
Coconut.
Oh, yeah. See? You could totally just change it just that much by a
Yes.
little tweak, right?
These are all fantastic ideas. My favorite boxed cake mix is the one that's like the rainbow sprinkles cake, white cake with
Confetti.
the confetti
Yeah.
cake or whatever. Yeah, if I'm gonna go for something, I usually go for that one. That would be good with different extract flavors in there.
Yeah. And also, I've heard, I made a note of it, but I have never actually done it. But I've heard if you add a cake mix,
Hmm.
like, I mean, not cake mix, you have the cake mix, but you add pudding mix. So, you know, the powdered pudding
Oh
mix that you
yeah.
would normally mix milk into it and make a pudding.
Hmm.
You put, I'm all about the
We're
quotes
using the
today.
word pudding very lightly.
I
Heather's just
know,
got it all
because the
peace, love,
pudding
and
has been an
happiness.
issue for us. Anyway, apparently, if you put the pudding mix into the cake, it
Oh,
makes it changes the crumb and it makes it more dense, more like a pound cake. So you can then bake it in a
no
bundt
way.
pan and it'll hold up to the shape.
Hmm.
Oh no. And then I'm thinking you could change it by the flavor of the pudding, right? Now you've added an extra layer of something.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's really fun.
How to
What
mix
else?
different things that come out of a box together.
Yes, why
And
not?
why not? It's
Like, if that's what you've got.
affordable. It's
Yeah.
so much faster and simpler than buying all the things you need when you go to bake a cake from scratch. Do it.
And if you need
Very
it, you know,
clever.
you might have last minute guests or something. Keep that
Always.
cake mix in the back of the cupboard for aha. I know when I need something
Check
in a
it out.
hurry, I got it and I can whip it up and even your husband who doesn't bake anything can probably make it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Easter creme egg
No, they're
cupcake.
cream eggs.
Cream eggs to us.
Hmm.
Okay, cream eggs. So you and I had watched, I don't remember if we discussed it earlier, but we had watched an
Yeah.
Instagram reel
Okay.
where somebody was making this, what I had in mind, essentially making it.
Hmm.
So they took their chocolate cupcake, first thing when it's baked is hollow out the middle enough, like scoop it out. This is after it's baked.
Right.
I just took a little paring knife and like kind of cut a circle and scooped it out with a spoon. So you're kind
Hmm.
of taking out 1.5 tablespoons, maybe ish
Okay, yeah.
size, making a little hole in the middle of your cupcakes. Set them aside so they're ready to be filled because what I use to fill mine is a fondant mixture. And you kind of got to work quickly with it, I found, because it starts to gum up, get kind of sticky and thick
Okay.
fairly quickly. Okay, so in that reel that we watched, in the comments, because there's no recipe. It's just
Oh,
he's talking about how he hates cream eggs, but he likes his cupcakes, whatever. And of course, in the comments, someone says, well, can you share the recipe? I'd like to make them. And the response, I don't know if it was from the creator or someone else, was,
huh.
well, clearly you don't really need one. I mean, you just look. It's like they had a big block that looked like cheese, but it was fondant paste or something. So looked like a big ball of mozzarella, but it was like a fondant,
Oh, that's
solid
right.
fondant.
Okay.
And they were grating it. So I mean, I didn't know what it was either. So, when you say, oh, who needs a recipe? You just kind of, look at what he was doing. It's like, thanks a lot. That's not,
Thank you,
not
recipe
helpful.
savant. But for the
Yeah,
rest of us, we would like some more instructions, please.
at least the ingredients. So anyway, somebody commented to say, um, so they were using fondant and then thinning the fondant to the desired texture or consistency using a hot simple syrup or hot sugar syrup.
Oh, okay.
So that was all I had to go on. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I had looked up fondant, and I remember you telling me you'd made a marshmallow fondant before.
Hmm.
And so I looked up how to make a marshmallow fondant, and I kind of this is where I'm saying I was winging it. So,
Yeah.
so I took mini marshmallows, just little
Okay.
white mini marshmallows, um, equal amount of marshmallows to the same, well, I don't know what amount. How should I say it? It was like 3 cups of mini marshmallows and 3 cups of icing sugar.
Okay.
Okay. So I put the marshmallows in the microwave for like 30 seconds, got them soft enough to mix them up and into a goo.
Melt them down.
Oh my God, it's so sticky and
It is kind of a gross step, hey?
it's really challenging. It's not like when you do Rice Krispie squares where you mix
Yeah.
butter in it. The butter kind of smooths it out and keeps it from sticking to everything.
Right.
This is just sticky. It's like trying to stir it, and so then I put it in my mixer bowl with the paddle
Oh,
attachment, and then I put in an equal volume, so 3 cups of icing sugar, and stirred it up until it seemed mixed. It was a
okay.
big glob. It was just a glob of goo. And then I had made a simple syrup, just white granulated sugar and water.
Okay.
And because it said to put it in hot, I had just made it. It was on the stove. And
Oh,
I couldn't tell you how much I poured in, to be honest. I
yeah.
started out using a cup of water to make my syrup.
Okay.
And I think I probably used a quarter to a third of a cup, maybe ish, of the syrup in, because I was just pouring it straight from the pot.
Yeah.
And I kept mixing it until it seemed like maybe I could sort of pipe it into my little cupcake. And what the guy did on the video was a small portion he colored yellow for the yolk.
Oh, yeah.
And then he was just sort of scooping it on top in a little kind of, and using a toothpick to spread it around to make a little yolky looking circle on the top of the white,
Okay.
egg white.
Okay. Right, right.
So I got it to a consistency I thought I could do that with, and I separated out a little bit, colored it sort of a yellowish orange
Mm.
egg yolk color. And then I had the white, which I put into a large Ziploc freezer bag
Oh,
and
okay.
snipped the corner off and used that to kind of pipe it in.
Okay.
So I would pipe in the white and then I'd take a little bit of the yellow and I'd sort of, but the longer it sits, the harder it is to work with to kind of get it off the spoon and make it look like a circle.
Okay.
And while it was still kind of warm, because the
Hmm.
syrup has warmed it, it, like the first ones I did where they were kind of warm, it kind of leveled itself out. It was almost like that self-leveling idea
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
looked quite nice and smooth. And then
Okay.
the last ones I did were more goopy, and you could tell like it wasn't settling the same way because it was colder by the time I got to them.
Okay.
So you really do have to work quickly.
Okay. Do you think adding more syrup would have made it easier to work with? Or would have that been too thin and then it would have been like a little ocean in your cupcakes?
I don't know. I think it
Yeah.
worked well for the white for the most part.
Okay.
Maybe because it was piped and because I was
Mm.
holding it in my hands, and maybe that keeps it a little
Oh,
warmer.
that's a good point. Yeah.
It was the yolk part that was in the little glass bowl that was getting kind of sticky. And I had these teaspoons and a toothpick, and I just, it was like, I have video.
I feel
You can
like there's
see
going to
it.
be threads of sugar all over your. You
Like
put one thing
gooey
down and then you've
here.
got a goo line to it, and you pick up another thing, and then
Yeah, I'm
you've
like
got.
another toothpick. I need a clean toothpick over here. Like, and toward the end, I was like, oh, it's good enough. Like,
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
If the more you fuss with it, it picks up crumbs from the cake, and then you've got chocolate crumbs in your white egg. Like, just you have to work quick and be prepared for it to be a little bit of a mess, I guess.
Just get sticky.
Yeah, it get everything's sticky. Washing everything up is a little bit of a job,
Mm,
but so that's what I did. That's how I
okay.
made cream
That
egg.
doesn't sound as haphazard as you make it sound. I think it's just the fact that you have to make the thing and then thin the thing and then work fast. That's all very like
Yes, and I didn't because I didn't really have a recipe. I was kind of like, oh, I think I can make the base kind of like this, and then I guess you add the syrup like this. Like that wasn't I wasn't confident because I didn't have a step-by-step recipe. And I feel like with baking,
mm,
we're always like looking for those very specific
yes.
directions because it can be so fussy and you don't want to screw it up if you've used like a whole bag of marshmallows or whatever and you're all your icing sugar and then you're like, oh, if this doesn't work, that's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it worked out fantastic. You are the recipe savant now. You can just comment back, yes, you're right. No recipe was needed. So simple.
I felt like going back and finding it again and being like, hey, if you want a recipe,
FYI.
we'll wait till the episode's out and then I can go back and be like, hey, come listen to my episode where I
Yeah,
talked
I
about
talked about
the
how I made this. I
yeah.
think it worked out great. I think the texture on the fondant was good because you bit into it. It wasn't gummy. It didn't like trap you, and now you've got this giant cupcake that you're like, oh no, I need to stuff this all in my mouth.
Hmm. Yeah, like I was worried the center, the egg part would all come out in one big goo
Oh
glob.
no, it was so good because it mixed in well with the chocolate. I love that cake recipe. I see why it's lovable. It's
Why it's
so
handed down.
moist.
Mhm.
It's a good recipe.
Yeah. I think they turned out. I think it worked.
100%.
It visually, like I said, toward the end, I was like, oh, they don't look quite as nice. But
I
it
knew
accomplished,
exactly what it was.
yeah, and it accomplished what I wanted it to accomplish. And
Yeah.
the video that we had been watching, he first piped a dam of chocolate, I think buttercream it looked like, on the top around the
Oh,
edge and then filled it
right.
inside. I did not do that. I just I just filled it so that it was sort of level with the top of the cake.
Yeah.
And I actually think that was better. I don't think if you put extra sweetness in there with extra icing, I think it would have been like, ah, too much.
It was already a very, very sweet treat,
Yes.
but I think it was good.
Hmm. My family was a little nervous. Well, my kids were like, I don't think I like fondant because they've had the rolled out like on a
Ah,
birthday cake kind of thing where you can basically just peel it off.
yeah. You're like,
Like, oh,
oh,
I don't
this
want.
is the part that was only decorative.
Yeah. But this, I think, just tasted more like a marshmallow,
Mhm.
which went over well with the kids.
I like homemaking marshmallow fondant. I mean, I think if you're probably in like professional cake baking land, maybe there's just not enough time in your life to be homemaking marshmallow fondant. But if you do it once in a while for a special cake, whether it's rolled out or whether you make it into like this cream that you did, I would say totally worth it.
Hmm. And really, once you get kind of the hang of it and know what it's going to feel like
Yeah.
and how to work with it, I think it was really easy.
Awesome. Yay.
I mean, if it's that forgiving that I didn't have a recipe and I didn't know what kind of measurements, I was just guessing like, oh, equal cups worth. Like that's pretty vague. But it worked. And I don't know how much syrup I put in there. Like, I apologize to anyone coming here looking for a recipe. I will do my best to write it out, but just know that it was like, go by feel, measure with your heart. Just like,
But when it works, when it's simple enough that that kind of instruction can work, that's the type of baking I love.
I know, right?
Because you're not so concerned that you're like, I don't know, anxiously awaiting the oven and seeing what happens and being like, oh, fuck.
It's no
Now I need to
macaron.
troubleshoot this shit.
Yeah, there's not like 17 things that could go wrong with this cream egg cupcake.
Yeah.
There's not much that can go wrong. It
Make a
might look
cupcake, make the goo.
the goo.
Yum.
Eat, enjoy. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, just to keep the fondant in a more pliable condition, maybe just like heat up your oven on like a low temperature and then turn it off. Have a plate in there that's warm or something, right? Or like heat up your magic bag and just keep your icing on like a bowl that keeps it like a warm, like if you're
Oh,
fancy enough to have a warming drawer, go for it. But like heat up a microwavable magic bag that your cat likes to cuddle with.
I have many.
I know, that's why I'm referring, and you've got the cat shirt on, so that's where I'm automatically going. But like
Yes, that's
keep it warm and then
yeah,
it
that's
won't
a good
be
idea.
the panic that you had. And maybe get all these things prepped before your hands are stuck together.
Yes, that's a great idea. To keep the bowl just a little bit
Yeah.
warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, smart.
Yeah, a heated towel or something warm. Yeah.
Mhm.
A
Yes,
there you go.
great
Problem
idea.
solved.
Check. Go make yourself some fun Easter treats, everybody.
I preemptively bought some marshmallows so that I could do this.
Oh, good.
So good.
Awesome.
And now for the fine print. Links to recipes and other things we talked about in this episode can be found in the show notes or on our website, www.threekitchenspodcast.com. Come say hello on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok. We'd love to connect. And if you enjoy the show, pass it on. Word of mouth is the #1 way people learn about new podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.